Good morning, everyone. In today's lesson, in our math lesson, we're going to study about three-dimensional figures, or as you know them as a 3D. What are three-dimensional figures and how to classify them, how to find the properties, how to find all the details about three-dimensional figures. In today's objective, we need to understand what does polyhedron and non-polyhedron means, to describe 3D figures using faces, edges, and vertices, and lastly, to understand horizontal, vertical, and angled cross-sections of 3D figures. In this lesson vocabulary, you must know about polygon, polyhedron, edge, vertex, or vertices, which is basically the plural of vertex. If you want to keep up with this video, you can open your book from volume 2 at page 435 to 440. Before we go into three dimensionals, we must know about polygons. What are polygons? Well, polygons, I'm going to give it as a quick revision because you already understand, you studied this and you understand this. What does it mean, a polygon, or a polygon figure, or polygon shape? Basically, any shape that is closed and has straight sides. For example, this, the first one. As you can see from this triangle, all of the sides are straight, and the whole shape is closed. How about the second one? It's also the same thing. As you can see, straight sides, and the whole shape is closed. You don't see any gap or anything open or anything. Same thing goes to this one, this, and this. These are also other shapes of polygons, which you studied before about regular and irregular. Basically, the one on the top in here, for example, this one, all the sides have the same length, and all the angles have the same measurement. This one, even though they are polygons, well, but this, for example, this side is not the same as this one. This one is obviously bigger than this one, and the angle of this is not the same as this one. However, you must know only about polygons and non-polygons. If you can come to the bottom here, this circle is not a polygon. Why? Even though it's a closed shape, but it doesn't have straight sides. As you can see, it's curved, and that makes it non-polygon. Same thing to this one. It's not straight sides. This one has straight sides, but it has this gap open, so that makes it a non-polygon. We need first to understand what does polyhedron and non-polyhedron means. A polyhedron basically is a three-dimensional figure or solid with flat surfaces that are polygons. There is this thing called prism. A prism, from here, a prism is actually a three-dimensional figure with at least two congruent and parallel faces. So that to call any 3D figure a prism, it must have two sides. Both of these two sides are congruent or equal to each other, and they must be parallel to each other. For example, this side, as you can see, this one on the top, and this one in the bottom. They are parallel to each other. You know, these are parallel lines, not these. These are parallel lines. So this one is parallel to this one and has the same side. This side and this side in the back, they are parallel to each other and they have the same measurement. That's how we call them prism. Well, in this case, the first one we call a rectangular prism, obviously because it has rectangles sides. And this one we call a triangular prism because we have, as you can see, triangles. Now, in these shapes, we have two three-dimensional shapes. First one we call a cylinder, and the second one is cone. These shapes, we don't call them polyhedron. Why we don't call them polyhedron or polyhedra? Obviously, because the sides, as you can see from here, this side is actually curved. It's not a straight side. What's the special thing about cylinder? It has two bases. This base on the bottom and this base on the top. And both of these bases are congruent and they are parallel to each other. However, they're not polyhedra. Why? Because it's a circle. It's not straight line. And it's surrounded by this big circle figure around it. Same thing applied to the cone. Cone has one base, and this base is connected by these sides, and obviously if you look at it in a three-dimensional look, it's actually not a three-dimensional, it's not a straight lines, it's actually a curved lines. In here, there are other examples of three-dimensional figures, which are the pyramids. And we all know about pyramids, like the pyramids in Egypt and other countries, they actually have some other pyramids. So what's the special thing about pyramid? Pyramid is actually obviously a three-dimensional figure. But what's the special thing about this three-dimensional figure? It has one base. And that base is what? It's a polygon. And again, a polygon, any shape with straight sides and closed sides. And other faces, they are all triangles. You know triangle? This is obviously a triangle. For example, in this one, the first one, if you look at the base, it's actually what? A polygon, which is, if you take it out, it's obviously a rectangle. In this one, the base is actually a triangle, which is also a polygon. But how do we know it's a pyramid? Because if you look at the sides, like this side, and the one in the back, and the one in the back, all of these are what? They're all triangles. Same thing applies to this one. Look at the sides. All of them are what? Triangles. And the one in the back, all of these are triangles, and that's why we call them pyramid. And obviously we can name them in different names. Like this one, we call it, the first one, we call it a rectangular pyramid. Why do we call it a rectangular pyramid? Because obviously the base, if you take it out, it's what? It's a rectangle. This one, if you take out the base, it's a triangle, so we call it a triangle pyramid.